The Blood Princess and the Knight is a webtoon that takes place in a modern-ish world, and our hero, Jibai, has a big secret that becomes the main focus of his character arc throughout the story. Formerly known as the Sky Glory, a knight known by many, is soon to be dead after getting captured by the vampire queen, who forced him to become her daughter, taking on her last name and renaming him by G, which is just the reverse of his name. Now the vampire princess, who will lead the next generation supposedly, he embraces this role and becomes a monster, not just physically but mentally, to allow himself the opportunity to escape this place and the clutches of his mother. Jibai as a character seems contradictory, not liking vampires and seeming racist to other demons, even though he is in fact one of them in both regards. His own perception of vampires has been skewed by his mother, and those feelings have translated to other vampires, even if they've been shown to be good people who only want to help and be beneficial to those around them. And he has nothing against other demon races at all. And all this culminates into an inner conflict that goes on within his character throughout the story. Throughout this, he encounters other vampires, such as his aunt, who goes by Chestnut, and her daughter, who he gets on a bad foot with from the get-go. They show how good vampires can be, and that people shouldn't be judged because of their race, but on their actions. Later down the line, he does experience a tough battle with someone who was once human and chose to become a monster for the sake of power, bypassing his limitations for his own sense of justice. Now, these two may seem similar on the surface, but the biggest difference between the two is the fact that one chose this and the other didn't. It's all about acceptance of their new forms, and Jibai never wanted this. As I previously stated, his whole arc seems to center around acceptance of who he is and not rejecting his vampiric side, which he does use in fights when he needs it, showing that he does find some value in it, but maybe not in the way he should. Choosing to shed who he was and becoming who she is now, and then reverts back to who they were, repeating this cycle of never really moving forward, running away from the past when he needs to move forward and confront it. And this whole theming is seen through another character who is similar to him, who is now choosing to move forward and face the past for a better future. And in this moment, he sees his vampiric self, his real self, in her place, as if trying to tell him something. He values being a knight very much, choosing to keep this side of him regardless of how he has changed, staying true to himself. But this mindset doesn't carry over to his other half, which is just as real and just as deserving of acceptance. Seeing it more as a tool to use when needed, never truly accepting it. But this isn't all bad, because his honor as a knight is part of who he is, and it benefits him in some situations, helping him when his vampiric abilities aren't available to him. He is faced with issues that he caused back when he was a human and defender of humans as the Sky Glory. But now these issues can only be solved with him becoming a demon, embracing the vampiric side of him. As the story progresses, we see that his urge for bloodlust becomes stronger because he is neglecting this other side of him, and it only comes at a detriment to his ability and health, as if he's clinging to his former humanity, but it only results in him being forced back into his vampiric form, showing that he can't run away from this. And the thing is, he wants to fix his mistakes, but he doesn't want to pay the cost to do so if it means relying on that form, relying on being a vampire. And compared to a lot of characters, he's actually pretty lucky because he doesn't have to ever worry about being discriminated against, because he can look like a human when he wants. He can be a vampire and be accepted amongst demons, and is highly respected amongst other vampires. He has this immature perspective of justice, not realizing until much later in the story that justice isn't just one answer, it's all based on the individual. All in all, I do prefer his vampire form a lot more, and it's not because it's female, but rather because of all the intrigue and development that can come from it. I want to see him actually embrace this side of him and see how strong he can be combining these abilities. I want to see him become a fuller character, confront the past and his mother, not just because it will benefit the character, but also because I want to flesh out this more vampiric side of him, as well as his relationship with the mother, and also just find out more about her in general. And I think his character has a lot of potential in multiple areas, but what did you think about this character or story, assuming you've heard about it? If you haven't, have I interested you in checking it out? And if yes, why so?